Welcome to the overview video for the Software as a Service Rails Kit. In this quick walkthrough, I'm going to show you what you get when you purchase the SaaS Rails Kit and how you can use it to quickly get started building your own subscription-based web application. Let's start with opening up the zip file that you get, and here in the README are some instructions on how to get started. So since you get a full Rails application, the first thing to do is to set up the database configuration and get your database created. So we're going to work on this sample configuration here and specify a new database. And we'll run the rake task to create our databases. After the database is created, then we can load some bootstrap data and the initial migrations. Now that the migration is done, we need to change the secret that's in the environment.rb file for our session. So I'll generate a new secret. And just drop it in there. Okay, now that we've done all that, the last thing we need to configure is our payment information, our credit card gateway information. If you want to use the Braintree gateway just for testing initially, you can just leave the gateway.yaml file alone. The demo and password logins will work just fine. Otherwise, if you specify a different gateway here in config.yaml, then you'll need to drop in some information on that gateway. For example, if you want to use authorize.net and you've already gotten your demo account, then you can change this to authorize.net.zim and then change the login and password inside of gateway.yaml. For now, we're just going to use Braintree. I will make a change here just to show you how you can use the configuration real quick. And let's collect credit card information up front. Now, even when you collect credit card information up front, you can still have a trial period so that the users will not get charged until the trial period expires. There's a nightly script called Daily Mailer that needs to be run every day that actually loads up your models and finds the trials that are expiring and warns people ahead of time that the trial is about to expire. Now, in the case of if you're not collecting payment info up front, then it'll tell people who have paid accounts and are still in the trial, you need to come back to the site and supply your billing information. If you are collecting payment info up front, then it'll tell people, by the way, you're about to be charged unless you cancel your account. This script also charges for trials that have come due and for accounts that have come due. And by default, it retries billing for accounts that could not be billed the first time. Let's say the credit card expired or whatever. It will send a failure notice to the user, and then a few days later it will try to charge again, assuming that the user comes back to the site and supplies their billing information. But of course, you can change that to do whatever you want. So we've got our configuration set up. Let's go ahead and start our server. Now that we started up the server, let's go load up the application. Now by default, the application assumes that you're trying to log in to a particular account, and so it uses the RESTful authentication plugin, and everything requires the for filter of login required. So you're trying to get to the index action, and it's going to stop you because you're not logged in and kick you out to login. What you would do when you're setting up this application in production, you would actually point people at the sign up URL. Let's say from your landing page, you're going to have a pricing page. So on the landing page, you'd have a link to sign up now, and it would be this sign up route. The sign up route lists all the plans that have been loaded in the database. We have here some bootstrap data, and you can see that we've got a couple of sample accounts, free and paid. Now, even though we're collecting payment information up front, you'll see that in the free account, we're not going to ask for that payment information because we're not going to be taking their money. If the person did upgrade later to a paid plan, they would be prompted to enter their payment information at that time. Let's go ahead and choose a paid one. And for filling out an account, we have basically the account group's name and the subdomain they want to use, and then the login for the administrator account. And then their payment information. Once we've entered in all this information, if everything validates, we'll create their account and point them at their new subdomain that they can log in. Now, none of this payment information is stored locally. Once it's submitted to the form, it's sent over to Braintree or authorize.net. It's stored with them, the data is cleared locally, and then we get back a token that we use for future billing. That token is stored along with the user subscription. The account has been created and the information is now safe and sound with Braintree. And we've directed the user, they can go and they can log in at their new subdomain. Let's take a look in the database and see what data has showed up. We'll load up the account we just created. The first account is actually supplied by the Bootstrap data, and you can see that here where it creates the plans and it creates a new user, test, and it also creates the first account. So in fact, you can use this information to log in and play with the system even before creating a new account. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And we can see our dashboard action there, and we have account information like we edit our account information, or we can change our particular plan. And the plans that are listed here are ones that we're eligible for. For example, if you were part of the premium plan and you had 20 users in your plan, but you wanted to downgrade your plan, but the basic plan had a limit of 10 users, then the basic plan would not be an option here. You can also change the billing information. I'm currently in the change plan. I'm currently in the free plan, so there's no billing information for me to change. If I change to a paid plan, then I can come back and change my billing information. Now I can choose to enter my payment information, and once I have an account, I can actually choose to pay with PayPal and be redirected out to PayPal to create a billing agreement there. And finally, I can choose to cancel my plan. And the Rails Kit uses the Access Paranoid plugin to actually soft delete the account so that historical billing information is still kept around. Now if we go and look at the new account that we created, we created this Tesley account, and we have some info in there. And you'll see in the subscription that we actually have this is where we keep the payment information. It's for display. We also have this billing ID, which is provided by Braintree for us to be doing the billing. And you can see that we have some limits here. We have a user limit of 5 and a renewal period of 1 month. These were provided by the plan level to which we subscribed. And we can actually charge that subscription, and it'll just bill whatever the set amount is. In this case, that amount is $10 a month. And that's the billing. That's what the Daily Mailer script does on a daily basis. It just runs the charge on every subscription that is now due. So if we take a look at that subscription, we'll see now the next renewal has been advanced a month. It's now October instead of September, as it was before. And we now have a record of the payment that was just made, and we have the transaction ID that came back from Braintree. So there you go. That's what the software as a service Rails kit provides. You get this full Rails application which has all of the controllers and models and views that you need to quickly get started with a Rails application that takes people's payment information, allows them to create accounts, and does the automatic billing for you. I hope you like the overview, and if you have any questions, do feel free to get in touch. Thanks so much.